What's up, guys? Panzer Mark 6 here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Tier 10 American medium tank, the M60, also possibly the most controversial / troll tank ever. If you don't already know, the M60 was just given out to a bunch of random players. No one really knows the actual criteria because WG won't release them. All they've really told us it was for quote-unquote loyal players. I think there's probably some sort of coding screw-up because there's all sorts of scrubs who did get one, probably weren't so loyal, and some people who probably should have gotten one who didn't. Anyway, all that aside, I'm pretty sure that this tank is just mostly meant as a reward for quote-unquote loyal players. I don't think it's meant in any way as a slight to those who didn't get it. If you didn't get it, well, there will be opportunities apparently to win one in the future. So today I'm going to be going over the stats, showing you the armor and how to take these down in combat if you ever meet them. And after that, I'm going to follow it up with some Ace Tanker gameplay to show you guys. Just first, a quick overview. The M60, it's a modernization historically of the M48 patent here. A lot of players will tell you that the M60 is worse in game. It's actually not, as I'll be showing you later. And one of the biggest reasons is this is probably the greatest troll tank of all time. So if you go into combat, there will probably be players who ask you how you get the M60. You can probably tell them that you got it through some sort of code, or send them on some wild goose chase to go like ask CC Sly or something for one. And you can really troll with this tank since a lot of people don't know how you get them, and also it's extremely rare too in combat. And also, there's a lot of people who really want this tank. So if you really wanted to, you could probably go drown yourself and tell people that the Snorkel will save you. I don't condone suicide in battle. That's kind of a jerk move. But anyway, you do as you please. Trolling possibilities are endless. One thing that really stuck out for me was the visual model is really impressive on this tank. It's very crisp, very detailed. There's all sorts of things on it. As you can see, Valkyrie is inscribed here on the barrel. It's also got the serial number and this little star and some wings. Just decals all over make it look really nice. This nice brown tiger stripe camo too. WG really put in some effort. And of course, this famed Snorkel TV periscope, xenon searchlight, whatever you want to call it. Personally, I think it looks amazing. I can't really describe how awesome I think it is. But looks aside, it's a pretty dangerous tank in combat. It's probably one of the better Tier 10 mediums in my opinion. Not actually sure if this default legendary camo texture actually gives any camo bonus in battle. I sent a ticket into WG, but they still haven't replied back to me. So I don't really know if it'll end up like the ISG 122S where it'll be a permanent camo, or if it'll end up being a legendary camo. I don't know. It's all very confusing. Since especially you can actually mount other camos on top of it, as you can see. Here I've mounted actually the swamp alligator camouflage on top. And you can still see the Valkyrie sticking through, and you can see the stripes on the front. But I thought swamp alligator looked pretty good, so I did mount it on for summer maps. So why don't we take a look at the stats now. Alright, so here we've got the stats of the tanks, brought to you by TankCompare by Blitzstars.com. Big shout out to Sock Robber on EU for making this. It's like tanks.gg, but it's using Blitz data, so I no longer have to scroll through everything in the garage. Great. Also, I'm in the credits, pretty cool, for contributing the credit coefficients. So here we've got the M60, the M48A1 patent, and the STB1, that Tier 10 Japanese medium tank. I think that all these tanks are actually quite similar, so that's why they're in the comparison. Now, a lot of people will tell you that the M60 is actually just a worse version of the M48 patent. That's really just a myth. So as we can see, the M60 starts out with having better DPM, but it's got all the same gun stats for everything else, including caliber, shell velocity, and so on. So that's already one advantage. You've got that little 30 extra DPM. Same as the STB1, but compared to the STB1, you can see that you do actually get 10 millimeters extra penetration, although all these tanks have the same heat round. Moving on to weapon handling, we see that the M60 is the best. It's got 1.73 second aim time, 0.336 dispersion, and 0.1 dispersion. I'm not sure about the 0.1 dispersion on movement and turret rotation for the STB-1, because I do know that tank is rumored to be extremely troll. But as you can see, the M60 just doesn't really have a competitor. And also, compared to the M48 Patton, you do get an extra degree of gun elevation and an extra degree of gun depression. That's a pretty major advantage. However, as I'll show you in Armor Inspector later, when you swing the turret all the way to the back, you don't actually get that extra degree of gun depression. It's actually like probably 0. All of them obviously have a fully traversing turret. When it comes to movement and mobility, the STB-1 does have that advantage in top speed compared to the M60 and the M48 Patton. But the M60, after you factor in these terrain resistances here, it actually does have the best effective horsepower per ton, except on soft terrain, where it's got this horrid 1.2 terrain resistance. So the M48 and the STB do best it there, but on hard and medium terrain, which is most of the terrain you'll encounter in world tanks, it is significantly faster to accelerate. So you can see it's about 2 horsepower per ton better on hard terrain compared to the Patton, and a whopping 3 horsepower per ton better than the STB-1. And on medium terrain, it's about 1.5 better than the M48, and about 2 then compared to the STB-1. That's thanks to those excellent terrain resistances, which are 0.7, 0.8, and that 1.2 respectively for hard, medium, and soft terrain. Also, it's got the same traverse speed without modifications compared to the M48 Patton, but slightly worse than the STB-1, 2 degrees less. But 50 degrees is still nothing to scoff at. That's still pretty quick. I've never really had any issues with the traverse speed. Credit coefficient-wise, the M60 is only 80%. So for those of you who thought that us M60 drivers got a tier 10 credit grinder, nope. The M60 loses credits just like any other tier 10, and actually loses more credits than the other 2 tanks in this comparison, the M48 and the STB. All 3 tanks have the same excellent view range at 270 meters, which is the best in the game. So you should be able to outspot a lot of your opponents. One thing that isn't shown on this website, though, is the camo values. M60's got terrible camo, slightly worse than the Patton, so you won't be able to just invis a tank like the STB-1 can. The M60 also has a hit point advantage over the M48 Patton. You've got 50 extra hit points, which is a little nice. So you can, unlike the M48 Patton, you won't get 3-shotted by those nasty 15-centimeter guns, which deal 640 damage. It'll be fairly hard for them to 3-shot you, but the M48 is pretty comfortably 3-shotted by things like the Object 268. Weight doesn't really matter, I guess. Hull armor, the M48 does have better hull armor on paper. Like, it does have 110 millimeters on the front, but it's an eggshell, so it's a lot harder to angle, whereas the M60's 93 millimeters on the front is very well angled, as I'll show you. The M48 does have better sides, 2 millimeters thicker, and they're better angled, so the M48 does win at side scraping, but the M60 can still pull some bounces. And then the rear armor, you probably shouldn't be letting anyone shoot back there, but you've got 25 on the M60, so pretty much any HE round is going to pen you fairly easily. And both tanks have the same turret armor at 178 millimeters. And this is compared to the STB-1. The STB-1's got horrid size. It's only got 35 millimeters on the sides. So that means that it is triple overmatched by anything larger than 106 millimeters. So even like a tier 8 heavy tank, the KV-4 will overmatch with that 170 millimeter gun. And also any 120 millimeter guns, which are common at tier 10, will also triple overmatch the STB-1 and be an insta-pen. So unlike the STB-1, the M60 and the M48 can side scrape. And here are the statistics. As you can see, the M60 is a little too new to show up. But that's as far as statistics go. Let me just quick show you the armor profile on the M60. So here we've got the M60 up in Armor Inspector. The first thing you'll notice is that this is the collision model, and it doesn't actually line up with the visual model. it's still got this 114 millimeter thick cupola on top that the M48 patent used to have, and it still does on PC. However, in Blitz, the M48's turret was massively buffed, and the M60's turret should be the same. However, when WG implemented this tank, they did not actually implement the Blitz turret, so it still does have this 114 millimeter thick cupola on top. It doesn't show in the visual model though. But if you actually go and shoot an M60 patent in a training room, you'll actually notice that you can shoot where this is supposed to be. Even though it doesn't show up on the visual model, you can shoot there and it will still penetrate and deal damage. Another implication of that is they don't actually have the right armor thicknesses. So the mantlet is only 114 millimeters thick and the front is only 177. This is different from what it should be, which it should be the same as the M48 patent. As you can see here, the mantlet is a lot more solid at 177 millimeters, and then all of this front is 177 as well. And also, this cupola has got a lot smaller. Armor thickness is slightly lower, but it is a lot smaller compared to what it is currently on the M60. That's due to a WG blunder, and I expect it to be fixed next update, which is probably rolling out really soon now. Now, taking a look at it in the penetration model, right now we're shooting at it with the M48 patent using APCR rounds. Now, even though, as I showed you in Blitz Compare, the M60 does have a thinner hull, but one advantage that the M60 does have is it's not that eggshell shape. It's very well angled, so if you just use 6 degrees of gun depression, as I'll show you here, or even 5, I think. Yeah, if you use 5 degrees gun depression, you can get this armor plate to be an auto ricochet against any tank shooting AP or APCR rounds at you. Those will just bounce right off. Also, because it's not an eggshell, you can angle it quite well. So if we just turn the turret like probably about 45 degrees-ish, then you can see that this is, again, a ricochet. That's real nice because if you compare it to, for example, the M48 patent, you've got this large penetrable spot on the M48 patent's front because of that eggshell shape. Now, looking at the turret, right now the M60 is the same armor model as it is on PC. I expect this to be fixed. It should be the same as the M48. Might be in-game, not sure. But anyway, as you can see, it's just these mantlet edges that you can't pen. However, you can shoot the center of the mantlet. But if it is the same as the M48A1 patent as it should be, then this is just no-go. It's 360 millimeters of effective armor. Looks like it's 222 or something. I just saw right behind the gun, but yeah, right there. But I still wouldn't bother shooting at the gun, because at the mantlet anywhere. That's too thick even for a lot of TDs. Now, looking at the turret, these turret cheeks are penetrable. These are going to be the weak spots on it. However, as an M60 driver, if you don't let them get good aim on those turret cheeks, it'll be very difficult to pen the turret, especially if you go hull down like this. As you can see, these mantlet edges also become red. And even if they load heat, the situation improves only by a little bit. This mantlet is still more or less impenetrable, and it's still very troll. However, I did mention that the M60 does have thinner side armor, and unlike the M48 patent, you don't have the eggshell, which is a disadvantage, because unlike the M48 patent, the eggshell shape on the M48 does give you some tricky angles, which will help ricochet things when you're side scraping. However, on the M60, you don't get that same kind of advantage. Also, as you can see, side scrape against heat, pretty effective. But if they load APCR, if you over angle just by this much, it does become a fairly easy penetration if they shoot up here. Down here, it's a little better angle, and it does become a ricochet. So ideally, if you're side scraping, you need to be very careful, and you want to get it to this kind of angle so you can ricochet it off. Now compare that to the patent, and the M48 patent does give you a little more leeway in terms of how much you can angle. The M48 can angle all the way out to here, and it will still bounce pretty well. Whereas the M60 can't do that because you don't have the sides quite that angled. And then also, compared to the M48 patent, the M60 just has garbage rear armor. It's 25 millimeters. Every HE shell was going to go through. So don't get shot back there. And yeah, that should do it for the armor model. Let's jump right into some gameplay. So here we've got our first game in the M60. We're on Falls Creek. We've got a team mostly heavies, so and it looks like that Type 61's also going left. So we'll be going left. Maybe take advantage of our fairly solid turret and hold down over here. So Conqueror with Red Conqueror with the fairly funny comment, smoke dank in a tank. A little bit NSFW, but whatever. I don't know, I found it funny at the time. So we've spotted about half their team over here now, so we'll just take a quick shot to this T-54, and he jumps off the ledge. We'll probably won't be seeing much of him later. There's that Conqueror, Mr. Smoke Tank in a tank. We'll put a shot to his upper glacis plate. Looks like he's using the 20-pounder, poor fella. We'll put another shot to him. We're already up 1,000 damage so far. And our next shot will put him out of his misery for our first kill. Now that T-110E5 down in the left, he's made a bold play. We'll see if we can punch him for that. Fortunately, he does manage to bounce our first shot just barely by changing by ending. And he puts one into us, but we hit his cupola. That's real nice. That's real nice about the PC is you can aim in real far in to make those really good shot points. And our ISA bull rushes him, so now we're not afraid to sit here and just take shots at him. And looks like that T-110E5 is too dumb to actually spin the track around. So he's not going to be alive much longer. We'll just put this noob out and move on. Looks like there's that T-54 we shot earlier. Thanks to PC auto aim and some nice dispersion values on the dude. We put him out of his misery. T-62 puts one into us, but we can put a big ol' AT round into that T-54. Now we turn our attention to this T-62A. And he's done, and that Leopard one just popped out of nowhere, puts a shot to us, but we'll put one back into him, no biggie. He bounces one off of our well-angled upper plate, and now it's safe to move on, help this Conqueror. I think that shot went through, but it looks like Conqueror gets the kill. Now we aim to retract this IS-7. We don't take them off, but you never want to be aiming for that upper side of the IS-7 anyway, because it is very, very well angled. And I think that was the luckiest shot ever penetrating that upper plate. So we put a third shot into that IS-7, and he's not looking too healthy now. So we're free to move on now that our friendly IS-7 has him locked down. There's that pesky Leopard 1. Show why you don't mess with the Snorkel tank. And he does kill our Conqueror, pretty unfortunate, but now it's 1 to 3. He's going to be regretting his decision to flank pretty soon, and it looks like our IS-7 shuts him down, but we do get our top gun, which is nice. Let's have a look at the post-battle results. So as you can see, this was a mastery badge. We did earn 80,000 credits gross. However, after resupplying ammunition, we did not make that many credits, just 8,570. Mastery badge and top gun is nice. Here we've got our next battle. We're on Rock Field. So it looks like our team is mostly medium tanks. And I like C on this map because there's this nice depression down there. As you can see, this is Supremacy. Steel clubbing on Supremacy is pretty nice. So here we go. We've got support from that T-62 behind us as we make our way towards C. Right now I'm mostly just worried about a TD setting up real quickly, like that grill maybe putting a side shot into us, but that's not too big a concern as we crest this ridge. Let's see if we can get some early game spots over here. This bush is real nice because then you can spot tanks moving in. Like that T-62, we'll put our first shot to his side, and we'll hold down using our nice 10 degrees of gun depression and our fairly droll turret armor. That was a sloppy shot by me, bouncing that heat round off his extremely angled from a plate. I do sneak a shot into the back of his turret as he tries to retreat. So it looks like that T-62 probably didn't have any support as we push shot into him on the move. Also, again, excellent dispersion values, and PC auto aim is just the best. You can never pull that on mobile. I really like PC auto aim, as you can see. That cheeky T-54 trying to snipe, we put a nice shot into him, 354 damage. Looks like they've taken A and B though, so they'll probably be set up on these ridges like that E100. There's their first shot, managing to hit the turret cheek. He spots us, but we get down in time. just going to wait for our camo to reset here. Hopefully I won't be spotted because I don't want to take that big 15 centimeter shell. And we put a shot to that E4 and we track him, but someone else took a shot at us, managed to bounce off our great bird armor though. Our second shot at the E4 doesn't go through. I think I missed, but it looks like it's time to move because I think they're on to me. So I think there's a tank over there that shot me. Let's see if we can figure out who that is. It looks like we've got a more pressing threat, this IS-4. He tries to hold down, but we put one into his driver's hatch. Pretty great result there. I tried to put one actually, I was looking for a shot at the size of mantlet where it's thinner, but it was too small and I just put one to his driver's hatch. It must be a mistake. And now I choose to rush him, maybe take his gun out of the game pretty quick. So I've got the back from the E75. We reload faster than him. Oh, but we don't take him out. E75 does, he bounces, great result. That cheeky M103 barely escaped our shot. We'll get him later. And this E100, this big juicy target, looks like he's showing us his rear. I reload shot, but just manages to disappear behind the rock. So we decided to put another shot to that M103. Doesn't look like he's using the top gun, so I'm not too worried. And we don't have enough gun depression, so we just crest the ridge to take him out. We take a shot in return, but it's no biggie. We've got some hit points to trade, and they're just down to 2 tanks, just that Gorilla 15 and the T110E4. So we'll just rush past here. I think the ISM wants to get the base, so I keep going. They're up 875 points. So I'm getting a little nervous now, because if they get 100 more points, they could win this. So we try to put an HE shot to the Gorilla. Looks like it went through. Now that Gorilla's watching us. He bounces off our turret, and now we go for another shot, but oh, we missed that one. If I had been loading APCR, I might have been a little more aggressive, aimed a little better. We put an HE shot, we throw an HE shot at him, but he puts a heat shell into us. But it looks like this Gorilla's about to die. So that HE shell, another penetration. Actually, I'm not sure if that went through, I couldn't tell. Takes him out, and now it looks like we've already won because our team took care of the E4. Great result, finishing the battle. Another mastery badge. This time we got 1,500 base experience and 5,000 damage for a high caliber and 2 kills. Pretty solid result. Again, we didn't really make credits, so that's it for the M60. I guess that's really all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video review of the M60. Don't get too salty if you didn't get one. And yeah, thanks for watching.